Hi everyone, and today we're going to be working on the pinion angle for the engine, drive shaft, and the rear end. Hi everybody, and welcome to the channel about kit cars and other car topics. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit that 10,000 mark, and I know there's a lot of people watching, and I'd love if you hit the subscribe. It helps the channel out, helps me bring more videos to you. So, last video I was kind of having a little heart-to-heart at the end and started thinking about it afterwards, and basically we're about 18 months into this project from the day of delivery. And we're a little bit slower than I thought, and I was actually kicking ass. But once the pandemic hit, all my tech support disappeared. I was kind of floating because, business changed, everything changed, and I was just kind of felt like I was on a tightrope. Just like, whoa, what's going on, trying to find my way through this, like kicking ass, just going 240 to like, woof, all this time and space, it was just really bizarre. So it delayed a few months, definitely like 3 or 4 months. Not to say that I didn't work in between on the car during that time, but I just didn't get far. There's a lot of roadblocks I couldn't get through. So, and also I was kind of expecting to like, well, maybe I'll be a full-time car builder for the next, 8 weeks or whatever this is going to be. And it just didn't work out that way. I was still at work every day. I think one day I didn't go to work. So kind of crazy. But in any case, we're here at 18 months. And as my buddy Greg suggested, that it's time to get this car started and moving. And so today I'm going to be working on the pinion angle. Now, what the pinion angle is, and another thing, a little caveat here, if you're drag racing or you're doing anything special with your car, don't listen to anything I'm saying, because that's a different setup. That's a different type of thing. But if you're just doing a street car, or you have a normal car, a muscle car or something like that you just drive on the street, then this kind of applies. But basically the pinion angle has to do with your engine angle, the rear end angle, and the drive shaft that connects the two. And basically there's a few things that you have to keep in mind. One is you don't actually want a straight 0-degree connection with your drive shaft. The reason why is the U-joints of that drive shaft will not lubricate itself because they're not being exercised by being on an angle. So if it's straight, it's just going to spin, and those joints will dry out, and you'll have premature failure. I'm not sure if you would have vibration down the line when it fails. You would. I'm not sure in the beginning if you would have vibration, but these are things that I am not an expert at all, but just giving you the information that I've researched. So on average for a street car, you're kind of looking somewhere around 3 degrees at the pinion angle. And so what that actually means is the engine would be, here's the front of the engine, here's the back of the engine. So 3 degrees down, and then your rear end is going to be looking up 3 degrees. So basically they're parallel, if you will, if you put them together. And then the drive shaft connects them, and therefore it has 3 degrees this way and 3 degrees that way. Now, you're allowed in general to have a 1 degree kind of difference between both sides. So like for instance, let's say you got it at 2. If you had 1.9 here and you had maybe 2.7 over here, you're within that 1 degree specification. Now, there might be someone that would say, this is what I do for a living. Absolutely not. It has to be exactly the same. In all fairness, sure, absolutely. But in the real world, with the guy doing this in his garage, if you're within 1 degree spec, I think you're okay. And that's not my opinion. That's from other experts that I've reviewed. The other thing you got to keep in mind is every speed bump, every time you hit the gas and the engine torques, that rear end is changing position at all times. So whether you're a 1/2 degree off or not, personally, in my opinion, doesn't seem like it would be a big deal because it's changing the angle at all times. It's just that when you're in the normal driving position, you want to make sure you have some kind of angle, because otherwise those joints are not going to lubricate themselves and get exercised, if you will. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, remember when I first got this car 18 months ago, I had a bunch of issues with the upper control arms, and they were the version 1 control arms on a version 2 car. And what was happening is they were so short that it was actually pointing the rear end pinion towards the ground. And so here's my engine like this, and the rear end was here, and there was no way to connect the drive shaft because this needed to come up to here. They finally gave me adjustable upper control arms, and right now I've temporarily have them in the car. They're not fully bolted in or whatever. I mean, they're bolted in, but they're not like tightened down, because I knew that I had to wait until I changed the pinion angle to get these things, fully adjusted. Now, the way that you adjust it is you have to pull the bolt out and then turn in the eye and then put the bolt back in. While you're doing that, it's kind of difficult because you have all these forces against you trying to, tilt that whole rear end forward or back. At this point, I believe I have to tilt it forward, which means I have to shorten that arm and just tilt it in a little bit, and we'll go through that process. So let's hop to it. Okay, so now the next question is how do you actually find your angle? Well, you need to find a flat plane on the front of your engine that will give you what the angle is of that engine at its resting spot. Now, when I say that, that means that all 4 tires are on the ground. So it gets a little difficult because if you need to work on the back end and adjust stuff, you have to put the car up, adjust everything, put it back down in its resting position, and make sure you do your measurements then. So it can be a little bit time consuming. Now, you could use actual physical measurement tools, but you could also use an app, as long as you use it correctly. And the one that I'm using is the Tremec toolbox. And so when you pop it in, you can see that the angle changes as you go through. So you mount this to the front of the engine, and then it will give you what that angle is, and then you lock it in. And then you go to the drive shaft and you lock in the angle, and then you go to the rear end and you lock in the angle, and at the end it gives you your actual results. And so I found this to be super easy. There's a bunch of other people that are professionals that do this, that use this type of app. And it works out pretty well. So for me, I'll show you, where I'm taking these angles. All right, so for instance, when we look at the harmonic balancer, you got to remember, see, there's like that little button on the side of my phone. You want to make sure that you're getting flat on there. And so you could see that if this was off, then your angle's off. But if you get this 100% flat, you can see where your angle is. So you take one measurement there, you take one on the drive shaft, and then you have to actually go, and right now, since I don't have the drive shaft on there, you could actually go straight to the hub there and put the angle right on there, or the measurement tool right on there, and get your angle. So that is the philosophy on how to do that. So I got my angle within a 1 degree separation, which is great. And, you know, the big test on that is once you get it up to, let's say, highway speeds, is there any kind of major vibrations or anything like that? And then from there, you know, adjust and adjust accordingly. So again, we're moving towards getting this engine started, you know, actually test driving the car for a few hundred miles before we actually paint it. So this is all steps towards that. So we're going to keep going, and until next time, have a great day.